You are listening to Playbook Radio with Martin Williams. Here's where you'll learn how to develop a playbook and game plan for your life so you can live without limits. Now, here's your host, Martin Williams.
All right, welcome to Playbook Radio. My name is Martin Williams. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel and to the podcast. And today what I wanted to talk to you about is selling the oil, okay? So a lot of people don't know what to do when it comes to starting a side business. A lot of people say, well, you should do things that you're familiar with. You should do things like affiliate marketing. You should do network marketing. And all of those are viable things to do. Certainly people have made a lot of money doing those things. But I wanted to see if we could try a different approach, or what I should say is, considering a different approach when it comes to choosing a business. So there's a Bible story where a widow was left with a lot of debt by her late husband. And the creditors were coming to take her sons and put them in slavery, right? And, she was very distraught, as anyone would be, at the prospect of losing her sons for, a protracted period of time, if not forever, depending on how much debt the man was in. And so, she cried out to the prophet. And the prophet, Elijah, asked her, "What do you have in your house?" And she said, "I don't have a whole lot except for a pot of oil." I'm going to go back to that pot of oil in a minute. But, once the widow told him that, he said, here's what you do. You go into your house, you shut the door, you and your sons, pour that oil, and in the midst of that, he said, borrow many empty vessels, borrow not a few. And then take those vessels, and then go into the house, then shut the door. And then her and her sons were to pour that oil into all those vessels. And then once those vessels were full, sell the oil, pay off the debt, and then live off the rest. And that seems like, one of those, fairy tale stories. Let's just be honest, right? Who does that? How does that apply to my life? Well, I'm going to see if I can help you see the application of it. So, if you understand how oil is made, let's just talk olive oil for a minute. And if you go on YouTube, you can see a video of how olive oil is made. And basically, to sum it up, and there's a lot of different processes. It's never just one or two steps. To sum it up, the olives are crushed, right? And in the crushing of it, there's oil produced. And it takes a lot of olives to make oil, okay? It's not just a little bit. It takes a lot to make oil. And if you understand olive oil, the pure olive oil is costly. It's not something that's cheap because of the process that it took to create that oil. So when you're thinking about what should I sell, what should I present as a product, sell the oil, okay? The oil is the product, the lessons, the principles, the strategies that you learned when you were crushed, okay? Think about a failed relationship. Think about someone who, maybe they stole money from you, or maybe you were the victim of abuse. Or think about, just a relationship that didn't go well. And that person, may have lied to you, or they may have cheated on you. They may have, or it just didn't work out for whatever reason. It didn't have to be something drastic. It was just something that didn't work out. but you were crushed. You ever hear a person say, you know, I was crushed when that happened, when that person did that to me, right? You were crushed, okay? But out of the crushing came oil. And the oil, God allowed that oil to be the thing that allows you to move forward. See, without oil, right, you can't anoint anyone. In the scriptures, when a person is anointed, that means that they are, you know, given an empowerment. They're empowered to do something. Okay? They're empowered to do something. You know, in the scriptures, usually like a minister or a leader is anointed to go and lead. And the way that the anointment happened was through oil. Oil was the vector of the anointing, right? And I don't want to get too deep into the anointing and whatnot, but when you understand that, you know, anointing is a way to empower someone to lead or to do, you know, anything that they're being called to do, then you understand the power of oil and you understand the importance of the oil. What you went through wasn't unimportant. What you went through mattered. And it mattered because of the oil that came out of it. Okay? A lot of times people get stuck in their life because they say, well, why did I go through that? I wasted so much time. I wasted my youth. I wasted the prime years of my life with a person or in a business or, you know, failing to do something, right? You know, that oil, and oil can be produced in any context. It can be produced in a business, a failed business, failed, you know, career stops, right? Maybe you got fired and that produced oil, you know? Maybe you went into a financial, you know, deficit and that produced oil. Maybe you went into like a mental, you know, maybe you've had mental health challenges, physical health challenges, and that produced oil. Any crushing, no matter what area it happened, produces oil. So you've got to understand the purpose of the oil. You're mad about what happened, but I want you to focus on the oil, because the oil, right? The oil is what's going to allow you to move forward. The oil is what allows you to push forward. And not only that, you are able to help other people with your oil. Okay? I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I've made mistakes in my relationships. I've made mistakes in my finances. You know, I've had to learn a lot of things the hard way because of, you know, just learning life and just learning through mistakes. And so I produced a lot of oil. And that oil, okay, that oil is what I can use to move forward. You know, when I was working, I'm still working, but, you know, maybe I was working in other positions and, you know, things weren't, you know, I wasn't as efficient as I could be. You know, I wasn't as time efficient as I could be. I wasn't as productive as I could be. And that hurt my work performance. It wasn't good. Right? And that performance caused me to get let go at some places. And that's not something I want to talk about a lot. Right? But it happened. And the reason that I talk about it is so it can help someone else. It produced oil. And the oil is what I can trade in the oil for anything. I can trade it in for health. I can trade it in for finances. I can trade it in for anything. So I didn't go through it for nothing, right? This is why experience matters in any field. The more experienced person is usually the more effective person. with very few exceptions, because that experienced person has oil. And they have more oil than the person who just started. Okay? So, if you're someone that maybe you're afraid to start something, I would say just start it, because how else are you going to produce oil? You can't produce oil if you don't go through the different seasons. And sometimes we don't want to get crushed. You don't want to get crushed. You don't want to go through that. And I'm not saying you got to go through a breakup. Sometimes you can just go through peaks and valleys and get crushed. You can get crushed in the stock market, right? But the crushing is what produces the oil. So when you get in a bind like this widow, she was in a bind. She didn't have any money. And if she didn't pay the debt, her sons were going to be taken into slavery for an undefined amount of time. She had to come up with something. And all she had, this woman was poor, right? All she had was a little pot of oil. That's it. But that's all she needed. You think that you haven't been through anything. And now I'm talking to younger people. You think you haven't been through nothing. You've been through a lot. And you've certainly been through enough that you can sell your oil. We like to talk about 21-year-old life coaches, right? And I've talked about it. I've joked about it. But the bottom line is that you can be 21 years old and have oil. Absolutely. Absolutely you can. And you don't need a lot to help someone else, right? Now, some of you older folks, closer to my age, right, you really don't have an excuse, because you got a ton of oil. You're just not selling it, right? You're not pouring that oil into people, okay? If you're a stay-at-home mom, you might think, well, what can I teach? A whole lot. You can teach a whole lot, right? You can teach a lot of young parents how to parent children and get them out of the house and get them to, wherever it is they want to go in life without too much craziness. There's a lot that you can teach. If you know how to change oil, no pun intended, you can sell that. The average person can't change oil in their car. You can sell that. You can put that on YouTube and then, sell that as an ebook or sell it as a video, however you want to do it. Okay. But whatever the case may be, if you're looking to start a business, look back over your life. Where have you been crushed? Where have you been crushed? Have you been crushed financially? Have you been crushed spiritually? Have you been crushed, romantically or by a friend? Have you been crushed, in a business? Have you been crushed in your psyche as far as, your self-esteem? Whatever the case may be, wherever the crushing happened, look for the oil. The oil is your breakthrough. The oil is not only your breakthrough, the oil is someone else's breakthrough. But if you don't sell it, nobody can buy it. Okay? So thank you so much for listening. Sprint to Freedom starts very soon. I'll have the dates up on IG so you can jump in with us. Be a really low price for those who want to jump into the community. Very excited to get that started and help as many people as I can, as a community, get to the place where you're no longer depending upon one stream of income, but, having the freedom to say, maybe I want to do something else and not be afraid about paying your rent or mortgage or car note. Having that freedom, which is priceless. So can't wait to start that with you guys. Thanks so much for listening. My name is Martin Williams. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Playbook Radio. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. For more information on Playbook Strategies courses and products, please go to GameplanPlaybook.com.